Welcome to C-Suite Sherpas, where we shine a spotlight on business experts and resources that you should know. So today, I'd like to welcome on our podcast Brian Vandewater, who is the founder of SPL Consulting LLC. SPL Consulting LLC helps companies achieve improved performance, culture, and execution. So you'll hear a lot more from Brian on that today. So Brian, welcome, and we're thrilled to have you.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Ron. Thank you.
All right, let's jump right in then. Can you give us a snapshot of what your business is and the major outcomes that you get for your clients?
Sure, no, great lead in. In a nutshell, I help companies become more profitable ultimately by creating superior teams and generating efficiencies. How I do that, I do it through strategic and succession planning is a cornerstone of what I do for clients, linked with lean enterprise solutions and methodologies. And then the third leg of that chair is leadership development, executive coaching, utilizing behavioral science. I'm a certified behavioral scientist with DISC methodologies. And when I put those together, I'm able to really create a process for clients and not only helps them figure out what they're trying to do, but unlike many other consultants that can tell them the what, but don't get to helping them actually know how to do it. I kind of bridge that gap and put it together. And I celebrated my 7-year anniversary this past October. So I've survived that long, which is good. And in that time, just as a quick high-level summary, I've generated over 175,000 hours of capacity through process improvement methodologies, which are, when people think of lean, it's not just manufacturing. In fact, in the last 2 years, 70% of my lean work was in the front end side of the business, all transactional processes, accounting, customer service, sales, estimating, et cetera. And that's all translated into about $68 million of additional revenue. And both those numbers, the capacity and the revenue number, are 1-year numbers, not compounded numbers. And then that all comes out to my return on investment is still averaging about 10 times my cost. So it's kind of really in a nutshell what I do to help companies.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a great return, by the way. So who are your service? Who do they work best for?
It's interesting that you asked it, Ron. When I started my business, I thought I would be working with just small to mid-sized businesses. And what I found is I've got a half a dozen clients that are a $500 million plus 20-site kind of companies that some of the big companies still run lean as far as resources and people, and they don't have a skill set that can come in and do a significant major change on or really lead strategic planning. Gets on to detailed actions within an organization down to sometimes operator level to make things happen. So the size got bigger than I thought it would be because I thought the big companies would all have all they needed. They wouldn't need me, but that's not the case. And as far as industries, my professional background, much of my background, about 25 of my 35 years in industry was in printing, packaging, converting world. So I know that in that industry from the engineering level on up through the senior leadership roles. But I also worked in microbiology and robotics. And that proved to me that the tools that I consult with now are really don't have an industry bound to them when applied properly. I've done work in the industries that I've worked in, obviously, but in heavy equipment manufacturing, like metal welding, fabrication, assembly, safety and security, locks, hospitals, insurance companies. So there really isn't an industry that I don't think that I can potentially help. I've had some kind of oddballs that I, for couple of various reasons, didn't engage with. One was a cannabis company that just really couldn't see their way to focus. And so I just said, if you can't really stay focused, then I'm probably not going to be able to help you, and walked away. But the industries are pretty diverse, and I've been successful working with all different types of companies.
Wow, that's great. So basically, any company that wants to improve their performance, improve their culture, and improve their execution, that's who can use your services.
That's it. Yep. Yeah, that's it.
Perfect.
And I'll share that. I guess another piece of it, if I put a limitation on it, I've avoided international, so I like continental United States. I've had a couple opportunities to go into Mexico, and I've got one in Canada. I might go help with it's a equity firm, and they're acquiring company. They want me to do the strategic analysis, and then once I do that, then help them actually drive value creation. So that one I might do, because they're a larger equity firm that would then lead to more potential support for them long term. And I think that with it as well, the companies need to be at a point where they are recognizing, and this is when I think about my client base, recognizing they've been
Yeah.
trying what they've been doing and not making progress with all the hard work and efforts they make. And so once they get there, the realization that they can't do it necessarily on their own, that's where I come in. And if they're open to change and really going to start to look to see how to do things differently, then I can be a real resource. I'll share a customer example. A client of mine that I did I think I did 8 Kaizen strategic planning. I reorganized their company, the organizational structure, identified, was estimator and quality manager. He's now the director of operations, run of all manufacturing. Through those efforts, we took from about 16 million in revenue. They're now at 32 million in revenue, two and a half years later. And the owner had me in one day. They looked at their financials and she said, our financials must be wrong. And I said, why? So we made more in a quarter than we've ever made in our history. And so we looked at it and I was able to tie it back to the things we had done. And they have quadrupled their net income. And the reason I bring this one up is one of the unique things that I do that help them, and how it started when I mentioned a minute ago that in the consulting world, it's tough sometimes. There's a lot of people out there doing it.
Mhm.
She said, did I tell you that I was the reason that we didn't move forward? Because I got a green light to go, and then it took that like 2 months. I couldn't get a phone call back. And she shared with me that she said she was putting the brakes on it. And she said, we've had consultants in the past. They come in and tell us all the things that we're doing wrong. And then they go away and we don't know what to do and nothing changes. And we spent all this money. And I fought bringing you in. And her husband said, we're bringing Brian in. And she said, it's the best thing we ever did. And she fast forward another comment she said is, we're at a point now where if you direct us to do something, we're just going to do it because you've proven to us that you're right. And we may not understand it, but every time you tell us to do something and we do it, we make progress. That's a kind of a customer example of where I apply these things that are oftentimes, like for instance, strategic planning and lean.
Yeah.
I haven't come across anybody that does both of those at the level that I do. And I've had clients say, how do you put those two together? And I joke around flippantly. My first response is, that's what I'm good at. But the second is it really tying into what makes all of the services I do work for clients is helping them understand how to lead change. Because strategic planning is an event that's got change management and leadership of people and consistency and how you do what you do. Lean, the same thing. When you create a new process, you've got to change the habits, get people to follow the new standard work and execute. That's the hard part. And that's what I'm really good at with clients, is helping them really learn how to execute plans and get very good at not letting the noise take you off track and produce results.
Wow, that's awesome. So you really truly became a trusted advisor in that client.
Yeah. I had another client,
awesome.
similar. There was a point where when I got involved with strategic planning, and it's a family-owned business, 4 children in the business, and the son was driving a lot and decided that they needed to move to a new building. And this is when I was getting involved. This was already in works or looking for property, and I got involved and assessed the business and got to talking and with the dad. And I said, boy, I said, I don't know why you're moving. You only work one shift. You've got 66% open capacity, first off. And second, have you done any math on the capital investment cost and what it's going to do to your bottom line to buy land, build a building, actually do the move, which when you're moving a facility that's already full, it takes some real planning. I said, you don't know what you're biting off. And so in strategic planning, I convinced them that they didn't need to do that. We actually bought land, so they have land that if they need to, they have it, because this was back like 3-4 years ago. So they got a pretty good deal on the property, but it's just sitting there. And now they've recognized, and the son's on board. Let's build capacity. Let's get a second shift going first, and let's really drive that side of the equation before we look at that investment. And they trusted me the dad did, and it took a little time, but now the son, who was the one who believed they needed to move and was first up in arms that I was recommending not to buy this property and build. Now he's, that wouldn't have been very good if we did that, would it? And I said, no.
Wow, that's great. So, what is the biggest challenge your industry faces, and how are you tackling it for your clients? And
Um,
one thing that people like to understand too, the viewers like to hear about is how is AI impacting all this?
yeah. So the first thing that I won't say it's biggest failure, but the biggest challenge that the industries, plural, that I serve faces is doing more with less ultimately. It's a new world since COVID and some of the change and a lot more working remote and AI coming into play and what that's doing. I've had a few clients that have said it's gotten better in trying to find people for open positions, but most are still saying, man, it's tough. You just can't find
Mm,
people that want to come to work and have a skill and a commitment to work. So that's probably that biggest challenge. And with that, I know that for me to add value for my clients, I've got to help them drive value that generates results. And when I talk about capacity, that 175,000 hours is roughly 85 people of work hours. I had a client that brought me in first in a sales strategy perspective, and they were lean, they said, and they said it didn't lean me for lean. And I did redid their whole sales and marketing strategy, and they were on path to achieve their 10-year goal in 4 years, which they did. And the
wow.
CEO said, "Hey, we've never had an outside expert come in and evaluate us from a lean perspective. Would you come in and spend a few days to help put in?" And I did, and I found an opportunity, and we did a Kaizen is the lean term. And in
Yeah.
that first event, we created over 5,000 hours of capacity in a company that said they were lean. And the CEO in the wrap up said, "We owe Brian an apology because we told him we didn't need him." And he found 5,000 hours of capacity. They actually canceled the PO for a new piece of equipment and didn't have to hire three people from it. So that biggest challenge that companies are facing now with, if you can't find people, you've got to combat it with efficiency creation through process improvement. And then in some areas, some of like more on the service side or on the transactional sides of businesses, AI is starting to make inroads in how we can serve customers from just a basic order processing perspective and
Right.
feedback on orders. I'm a partner with a talent planning software where I use my behavioral science work. And I just got off a call with them today that we're finalizing a tool adaptation to use AI to help companies that in the top three that we've recently surveyed issues that and challenges companies say are their biggest problem are having good performance reviews was in the top
Right.
three. And so with our leadership development plans that kind of get linked in with our disc analysis and helping people create career paths, we are using AI or going to be using AI in the first quarter of next year to help generate a meaningful performance review with a
Mm,
development plan tied to it. So AI is going to reach in a lot of the spaces that we touch that help us build teams and improve
right.
communication.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's scary, but it's exciting. Both.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna change it up a little bit here. I would like our viewers to get to know you on a more personal level, not just all business. So I'm gonna fire off some questions and just give me the answer that comes to mind for you, okay?
Perfect. Perfect.
Ready?
I'm ready. Go.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
If you could only grab one weapon or item during a zombie apocalypse, what would it be?
Oh gosh, let's toss up to my bow or my 30-06.
Ah, there you go. Maybe the 30-06. You could take out more than one at a
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Favorite quote or phrase that you think about often?
A bad system will beat a good person every time.
Hmm, interesting. Favorite movie or streaming series?
Favorite movie. Probably the first Top Gun.
Hmm, okay.
I'm an ex-Marine, was going
Uh,
to be F-18, so near dear to my
oh,
heart.
there you go. Thank you for your service, by the way. Favorite book?
From a leadership perspective, one of the best kind of basic introductory is Good to Great.
Okay, that's a classic, right?
Hmm.
What this last one? So one bucket list item that you've already accomplished, and one bucket list item that you haven't and is at the top of your list?
One that I accomplished, I actually checked it off in October of this year. So last month, I finally caught a 8-foot striped marlin down in Cabo. So I caught a marlin that was on my bucket list. Still on my bucket list. I'd love to get a 200-inch buck. I'm a deer hunter, so that's a 200 is how big the rack is.
Yeah, that's big, by the way. All right, Brian, thank you. If any of our viewers would like to get in touch with you and collaborate with you, how would they do that?
Yeah, best is through email, Brian at SPL, S is in Sam, P is in Paul, L is in Lima, SPL Consulting LLC.com is my email, or give me a call directly at area code 414-588-3008. Love to chat.
Okay. And then I assume they can also connect with you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn for sure.
All right. Brian, thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. I thought it was interesting and it was a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you.
Much appreciated, Ron. Thank you.